Hello students, welcome again on this period of Degree Part 1 English Honors. As you know, we are doing The Ancient Mariner by S.T. Coleridge in this period. Before going further, let me ask a few interactive questions regarding the poem. My first question is how many guests were going to attend a marriage party in the poem? Question number 2. Why the ancient mariner detained one of the three wedding guests? Question number 3. To which century Coleridge belongs? Next question. What do you understand by romanticism? Next question. What do you mean by classicism? Next question. Who is Albatross? And question number 7. Why Albatross has been killed? Question number 8. Who is the main culprit of killing the bird? And the last question, which weapon is used in killing the albatross? I have already discussed all about these in my previous lectures. So, if possible, do share me your answer next time. If you missed any of my previous lectures, let me know so that I will share you link of my previous lectures. So now let me resume the second part of the poem titled The Ancient Mariner. Coleridge is superb in the art of storytelling. His narrative skill in The Ancient Mariner, Christabel, and Love is highly commendable. As a narrator, he exercises the same hypnotic spell on his listeners as the mariners creates on the wedding guests, so swaying in his narrative power that howsoever preoccupied we might be when he begins his stories, we are all converted into wedding guests. He holds us with his narrative skill and we listen like a 3-year child. Coleridge really knows how to draw one's attention in the beginning of the story. In The Ancient Mariner, he invests the mariner with a mysterious personality. He is an ancient mariner, he tells us, and the figure of an old, wrinkled seafarer conjures up before our mind's eye. Presently, his other features are faintly illuminated. We see his long grey beard, his glittering eyes, and his skinny hand. He strikes us as a quaint, outlanding personality, and we resist his bewitching pull, but he has the power to hold us with his eyes, and we cannot choose but hear. The narrative begins at an easy pace. We are given familiar details of the journey, like the sun rising on the mariner's left and going down into the sea on their right. It is a crazy old man having only silly tricks up his sleeve. We conclude and grow restless. The wedding guest, who is used to articulate the listener's reactions, beats his breast. But this is exactly the moment the poet has been waiting for, immediately given his story a dramatic turn. The placid atmosphere gives way to a strong and tyrannous storm blast. The movement of the verse becomes vigorous. The images of the ship moving fast and sloping masts and dripping prow like someone treading the shadow of his foe suggest violent action with the coming of the mist and snow. The background becomes mysterious. So it is also important to quote the line, which is very important. The sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. The lines, the sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. There was a description of the activities of the nature. The sun rose out on the right side of the ship. It was hidden in mist all day. In the evening, it sank into the sea on the left side. The next stanza, and the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play come to the mariner's hollow. The south wind blew and it pushed the ship northwards, but the sweet bird, that is albatross, who used to come to them for food or for playing with them, was no longer following them. All the crew of the ancient mariner condemned his action of killing the bird because the mariner had killed the bird without any reason. His colleagues said that he had done a devilish thing and it would bring misfortune. They also said that he had killed a bird who was a good omen. He had killed the bird who was a sign of good luck. The bird had caused the favorable wind to blow. They all declared that the mariner was a wretched being. That means a mean fellow for having killed the bird. Now the bright sun rose. It was neither dim nor red, but was bright and glorious like the head of Jesus Christ. Now the sailors declared that the mariner had done the right thing by killing the bird that had brought fog and mist. First of all, the crew, the companions, the shipmates of the mariner declared that the mariner had did a hellish thing because he killed a sweet bird, the albatross, for no solid reason. But soon, in another moment, they said, when the nature goes favorable, then his shipmates declared that he did the right thing. He did the right thing by killing the bird that had brought fog and mist. A favorable gentle wind blew, and the white foam flew on the surface of the ocean. The ship began to sail onward calmly. They felt that they were the first people who had come to the silent sea. The lines are also very important. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the froe followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. After a while, the wind stopped blowing. There was silence all around. It was a very sad situation. The silence of the sea was broken only by the sailor's talk.